Have a good trip?
So, yeah, get away.
It's that time. It's that time of the year, you know, so to take advantage.
Video and audio.
For, oh, the audio's on? I got one more minute. Get started, so I know.
What's funny?
And.
My wife, we were there. This was part of our meeting, so her parents were up there with the donation. She didn't know that. I said, see, that's historical. You're getting up there.
If we have anybody that is addressing the council, please make sure you signed in and then put the category. that we're gonna be. So, that'll be good. All right. That's it. Let's get started. Hopefully it should be a short one. Be good. It'll take care of business. That'll be good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and show it's 6:30 now. And we're gonna go ahead and take roll call. All of them. You can go ahead and please take care of that.
District 1 Alderman Miguel Aguirre.
Present.
District 2 Alderman Richard Hughes.
Present.
District 3 Alderman David Emery.
Here.
District 4 Alderman Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And District 5 Alderman Charles Lee.
Thank you so much for doing that. All right, if everybody can please rise and please join us as we do our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. Good way to start, especially our 4th of July. Get a chance to go ahead and do that. So we appreciate that. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 4, citizens to be heard. This is an opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the city council on any issue or any item on the compliance with LGC section 551.007. City council may not discuss any presented issue nor take any action on any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General Opinion JC-0169. So I know the agenda item that we have somebody sign up is for 60, so it'll be a little bit later on, but do we have anybody else who want to say any comments in the citizens to be heard? All right, going once, going twice. All right. Paula, if you can go ahead and put no comments on that, appreciate that. Council, let's go ahead and move on to 5, consent agenda. Consider the approval of the minutes. Go ahead and have the minutes were forwarded to everybody. Is that correct, Paula?
Yes.
Okay. So, and since we have a consent, we could probably go ahead and do both of them at any time.
Good.
We'd be able to do that. So if you want to look at June the 12th, 2023, and June the 26th, 2023 on that.
Viola, for June the 12th, because this is historical information. On the announcement, item 3, you mentioned that Cassandra will have an event from 10 to 4 p.m., from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In the future, you just maybe add what the event is. So it's just for historical information. For the second meeting minutes for June the 26th, the motion to recess, that was made by me and second by Charles. You have it reversed. Mayor, I want to make a motion to accept both meeting minutes for June 12th, 2023, and June 26th, 2023, as presented.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
We got a second. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any against? Thank you so much. And let's go ahead and move on. And you should have in front of you, consider the approval of payment of bills.
Mayor, I'd like to start by making a motion to accept the bills as presented, payment of bills as presented.
A motion on the floor, go ahead and accept.
Second, Mayor.
Got a second? Any further discussion?
Yeah, just a question. We got the two items on Civic Plus. Could you give like a 1 or 2 sentence description of what that software is?
Sure. Civic Plus is our permitting software as well as our alert software and website.
Okay. Is it up and running now?
Yes, sir.
It's just the annual maintenance and just general.
Those, yeah, those are our 2024 fees
Oh,
for
okay.
23, 24.
All
That's
right,
what
so we already
it's,
have the software, it's just.
Okay.
yes, sir, that's the renewal.
The renewal.
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and go into item number 6, open session, take action on the items discussed. A, consider act upon the selection or awarding of the renewal of the wellhead and pump from water well number 1 to Advanced Water Well Technologies in the amount of $5,046.
So council, this would be an award of the contract to that company to remove that well head and well motor, as long as all goes well for that total amount. I did reach back out to the Edwards. They said typically they don't cover costs like this, but you would reach out to their higher ups, and they did give approval to cover up to half of the cost. So it would be our recommendation that we approve and let me move forward to execution of that contract.
That's gonna cost us then what after that?
After that, 25.
23.
We'll pay the whole amount and then submit it to Edwards and wait for them to reimburse us. We've already got it set up as a vendor in their system.
Is there any contingency for any problems or?
Nope, that is a best case scenario. If we run into hiccups, we'll have to go from there. Because they can't predict.
Yeah, sure.
They said if all goes well, this is what the cost will
All right, they would have to come back to us for the additional. Well, I move that we award the contract to remove the wellhead and pump from water well number 1 to Advanced Water Well Technologies in the amount of $5,046, understanding that we should receive half of that.
A motion on the floor,
I'll second it.
a second. Okay, any further discussion?
Matthew, thank you for looking into that. Anytime we can save tax money, that's good. Yes, sir.
Don't ask, you don't get.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay, any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, council, appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to B. Consider an act upon setting a date for a council workshop on the proposed tax abatement program.
So council, we need to set another date. Whenever y'all want to do that, to go over the policy. Of course, this policy is just a draft, something I came up with, the mayor kind of toyed with. It will go to council, council will look it all up, we'll make some more corrections, then it will go to legal for them to review it and tell us, hey, this is like crazy, over here, you can't do that or something.
So the workshop will be to review the initial draft.
Yeah, the initial draft that we have now, and then pencil mark it up, make changes, do whatever we want. And that's what Alderman Tate wanted to do, let's try to do some of the work ahead of time, and then let's send it to legal, and then say, okay, we need to adjust this, do that kind of thing.
Can you send that out to the council
I
so
will.
we can review it?
Yeah.
ahead of time? Thank you.
So last time, council, we actually had our meeting. Like for instance, the next one will be on the 24th. It's a Monday, the next, and we had picked the Tuesday right after the meeting. Is that correct? That's how we had it laid out before?
Yeah.
So do you guys want to do the same thing? Our next meeting is on the 24th. Would you guys be available for the meeting on the 25th for the workshop?
Sounds good to me, Mayor.
I'm available for the 25th.
You're available?
I have no problem with that.
Okay? You good? You good? Okay.
25th.
25th.
Can I get a motion?
Now, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we schedule the city council workshop on the proposed tax abatement program for July 25th at 6:30 in these chambers.
A motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
Got a second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, council, appreciate it. I'll go ahead and get it on the books. Okay, C, update and discuss city's response to a violation notice from Texas Commission for Environmental Quality regarding the city's need to complete mandatory water quality testing for water quality parameters.
So council, this was brought to my attention, last week, I believe, by the Public Works Director that we received another notice of violation, for not getting some required testing done. We will send this notice out and make all of our citizens aware of it. It'll go out in our next utility bill. Didn't get it in time to send it to this one. We'd already started sending it. We get up to a year to notify the residents, but we'll send it out for the next utility bill. Mr. McGrath can give you all the details on it. I can have him if he needs.
You have
This is,
anything, James?
this is testing part of the copper lead that we do, where we have to do five tests, 5 samples every quarter. And apparently we skipped one, no, we've done once since that. We skipped one sometime, I think, end of the year, beginning of the year.
So what it came down to, council, when I called TCQ to specifically ask about it, because I didn't really understand it. When we put our new water well online, this triggered this specific test. It's under the lead and copper scenario, under that realm of testing, but we put our new well online. Typically, twice a year, you gotta do 3 tests where it comes out of the well and 1 where it goes into the distribution system. When you put a new well online, you're required to do them quarterly for the first year. We did 1, we're expecting to do it like we normally do. We missed 1 in between. We've already answered it, we've already done the test, so we're back on the routine.
Everything was good? Yep, okay.
We just missed that 1. So what I've done is I've actually, again, when I was talking to TCQ, they guided me to where I can find all the tests we have to do. I'll create a spreadsheet, we'll throw that up in the Public Works Department, throw one up here in City Hall, and we'll just do it, say this test, was it done, yes or no, and we can start checking them off like that.
So just for clarification for the council, it's not based on findings, it's based on
Just for
having to do
we, yeah.
testing, so.
When we put the new well online, it triggered us to doing 1 every quarter for that first year. We were doing it like we normally do.
Well, council, just like we mentioned before, we always want to make sure that you're informed and understand, especially if there's a violation or something that comes down, so we're just doing what we're supposed to be
And it'll
doing.
help you, because these notices will go out, we'll publicize it in the paper. If a resident calls you and asks you what happened, you can explain to them why we're involved.
Basically, the purpose of this is because all this new machinery and piping and all, they want to make sure that no scraps
No
of that stuff.
bacteria,
get
no
in the water.
nothing in the water.
Right. And the copper and lead, that would just be residue from the machining and milling process, right?
If it shows it.
Right, exactly.
And we, yeah, like I said, on the paperwork you saw, we'd already answered it, we did the samples on 314, never, they're not that good.
All right, so this is just for information, we need no action or anything. Just
For the test that's due next year, where are we at on that? The TCEQ for those.
For the entire inventory,
Water lines, yeah.
so I've been talking with James, and I'm done everything I can do on it. I've got the spreadsheet created, they're just gonna have to find time to go out and do it, and I'm waiting to get the timeline on how many they wanna do per month, because if we wait till the last minute, we've gotta do 1,500 connections to our water system, and it's not as simple as just, I think it's this, I think we gotta dig some up, we gotta look at it, we gotta take photographs, we gotta document it, and send it back in. So I'm waiting to get that back from James, I'll meet with him in the next couple of weeks, we got something else that he's working hot and heavy on a TCEQ inspection coming up in a couple of weeks that I agree, this has been known for a while, and we just haven't made any progress on it.
Are we gonna need to budget something, so we're gonna need additional funds to get this done in time? Deadline's what, October for that inventory?
I've got it on my deal, I look at October 16th of 24, I believe.
24?
I believe so. But even if we come out, I just, every time we go to talk about it and say, what's my schedule, when can we start it? Something else happens, and something else, I guess,
Cause you said, 1,500 connections, that's 15 months out, that's 100 connections being looked at a month from here to October of next year, so.
Yes, sir.
If y'all need some more help, then we need to do something about it. We need to-
I've not been told they need additional help. I've discussed this, and that's where we are. So I've asked what is needed, and
But we'll have an
Yeah.
opportunity when we have the department brief, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. And we'll try to get an idea maybe for the next month's update. So we'll try to do that.
I'll track it and report, or have Public Works report on it every month in their director's report from here on.
Anything else, Charles? Nothing. Okay. Anybody else? All right, let's go ahead and move on to D. Discuss and act upon a property freeze, tax freeze for all city residents who are 65 or older and or disabled persistent to Texas Constitution Article 8, Section 1DH, and Texas Code Section 11.26D. Alderman Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, this is something that a lot of municipalities across the state are implementing to help their residents with rising property taxes. So as a city, we're able to freeze that taxable value. The packet that I handed out to y'all, it shows that, that's just Atascosa County, we have 200 of our residents who go over 65 or disabled person exemptions. So it's about 13.5% of our exemptions go to folks over 65 or disabled. And that does not exempt them from paying taxes. It just freezes their tax value once they turn 65. So, you'll be collecting taxes, just going to kind of help alleviate the folks who maybe they're on a fixed income or little or no income, But I know that Divine recently passed this, I think, in June, to help their residents out. And while it's able to help the residents, I think it also makes the city an attractive place for people to move out to. If one city has this in place and we don't, we might go there. So I just see it as a means for us to help folks out and take care of our people.
The 200 number, is that residents or residencies?
Oh, I mean, that's property, that's the tracts of land. Those are homesteads, yeah, so you have to have, it has to be their homestead.
Lynette, didn't you mention in one of the previous meetings that we had the homestead base of 566?
That's how many we had listed. I don't have the paperwork.
So if you subtract 200 from that, that's a big chunk.
No, I mean, you also have, Medina County, this just has Atascosa.
So
So your
you have
200
this
was
is
not
just-
vital, right? So,
I mean, it is Lytle, it's the city of Lytle, but, we're in 3 counties, so
Right.
folks living in Lytle, in Atascosa County,
but this motion would be for the citizens of London.
that's for everybody.
And I think, look at the other two counties, I think I counted maybe another 20 when I look at their last values. And if, from the best I understand it, and please everyone correct me if I'm wrong here, it just freezes, if we approve it, and first, Jesse asked that if we wanted to move forward with this, that we direct council to draft the ordinance and bring it back at a later meeting.
Yeah, it would be to kind of just give authority for legal and staff to work on an ordinance to present to you, and if there's any financial ramifications, you could ask staff to gather those and report back along with the ordinance. Because we would need an ordinance to pass it, yellow ordinance in front of you tonight, it's just kind of see what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it would be good, and Charles said, including the disabled is good, but we probably need to define that in an ordinance too.
And I think that's
What
what,
categories we would need to include on there too.
but this would freeze, if we approved, it would freeze their taxes from the previous year, what they paid the previous year. So they would just, that would be their payment from their moving forward, as long as they don't do any improvements themselves to raise the value of the house, right? So if you froze my taxes and it was a $200,000 home, that's great, my taxes are froze, I added on and made it a $400,000 home. Then the city can come back and say, hold on, time out, you raised the value so we can talk.
Yeah, it's proportionate, and there's, if someone moves from out of city into city, things change, and if they move to another location, the value can get shifted, so. And like, Alderman Kate said, a lot of cities have been doing it, not all of them have chosen to do it, but we do represent some cities that have gone through it. And so y'all can talk to other cities and, but yeah.
So
It is something
Richard,
citizens-
we need to also, Charles, we need to also put a provision in there that would allow the tax freeze rate or value to be lowered if some miracle property taxes went down. But, so in other words, the freeze level, if the property taxes were to have to go below that, that would allow that to be readjusted as well.
Understood.
So that would need to be inside the ordinance as well, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's all based off the tax code.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, but
pretty
the
well
tax freeze
regulated.
basically states you're at this level from now on, but what I'm getting at is that the taxes are lower below that where they would actually get credit.
Yeah, it won't drop below that amount.
Well, no, it should be able to drop below. That's what I want to make
I mean,
sure.
I'm sorry, we should
Won't go
go
above.
above it, yeah.
Right, it should
Yeah.
go above it, but I do want to allow for it to go lower, should we ever get a tax break in the future.
Okay, I think we have some.
Yes.
I have a question.
Come on up, we're addressing this.
Yeah, I have a question. When I moved here, I just turned 65, and I didn't know that there was a freeze available, a homestead freeze available for taxes. And I went down to the appraisal district. They said, fill this out. I filled it out, and they froze my tax increase, no more increases, and I got a rebate. This was a couple years after I got here. So it's like 2 years worth of taxes I got a rebate on. And I thought, oh, cool. And then a couple weeks later, a month later or so, I got a check from the city for $700 because they paid me for the overage that I've been paying because I was over 65 for a couple years. So why is that different than what we're talking about?
Do you want me to explain?
So, yeah, here we go.
I knew you were coming, but I knew you were the person to
We
address
set you
it.
up there.
So, am I,
So, Michelle Bordeaux, I'm a chief appraiser at Atascosa Appraisal District. I'm one of your 3 chief appraisers. Ms. Jeanette Dixon is here as well. And I believe I carry the majority of your value where exemptions are concerned for the city. And I want to give you additional information because I don't know if you remember, but the city implemented a homestead exemption for your residents last year. It was not on the 2022 totals, but I have preliminary totals on how that could potentially impact you right now. And then going forward, if you choose to freeze your over 65 and your disabled citizens, then that would affect that as well. So with the city, the way that they were set up previously is only an over 65 person received an exemption that was, I believe it was $10,000. Maybe it was 25. 10, it was 10. And that was only for over 65 residents, but there was no freeze in place. So it was just an exemption amount. What you're talking about doing will freeze the tax amount that the property owner pays at that level, whatever it's established. And then if it goes down, it automatically, they pay less. That's how the tax code is set up. So you don't have to put anything
It won't
specific.
happen. You know.
It's a ceiling. So that means it doesn't go above that. Only if they add on or they buy the lot next door and they combine it in and that increases the value, then their freeze would be adjusted by the amount of tax that was added, whether it was the structure or the lot next door. That would adjust their freeze and it would be reestablished. So that's how that works. Your homestead exemption that you put in place for everybody last year, you have 386 accounts that have a homestead, just a homestead. Of those 386, 176 of those have an over 65. 13 of them have an over 65 surviving spouse, and 15 of those are disabled persons. And so your exemption amount that you implemented last year is a $13,752,928 exemption amount that came off of your tax base because of the homestead exemption, which equates in tax dollars. If we don't bill or collect, I could only tell you a rough number, but it's about between $45,000 and $50,000 worth of tax base, but we don't know what your rate's set at yet. So when you set those rates, it'll affect that. Whatever you do to the over 65 will give an impact above and beyond what you've already put in place. Depending on when you do it and when it gets put in place, it could impact you this year. If you do it effective January 1st, then it would be impacted into next year. You're getting down to the wire. you're getting ready to start your tax rate calculations. And so if you don't move quickly and get it to myself, Medina, as well as Bear County, then we're not gonna be able to put that on your tax roll before you mail your bills, and then we'll have to supplements and you'll have to mail corrected bills.
Do you go off fiscal or fiscal year?
We are a January 1 year for value, but, when we certify and Atascosa is gonna certify on the 21st of this month.
Oh,
We're locking our roll down. We're gonna have values to you no later than Monday, the 25th, and your tax rate calculations can start, and you can start having your budget workshops and your rate hearings. So our value is coming to you on the 21st.
We did this for Bear County, and remember Bear County, some counties have kind of arbitrary deadlines of when we have to give them notice. I know it doesn't sound like you do, but Bear County, I remember it was many years back, that they did have a deadline. They wanted to know before it would be implemented. And I do not know what that day was or if they still have it.
So on the homestead, there is a line in the tax code that says July 1st.
Correct, but I think this was for a tax freeze, and like, that's why I kind of hesitated with arbitrary. It's
Right.
kind of what they want. It's not required, but
Right, we can implement it at any point, but it will be, if it's done after certification, it's gonna cost you on the back end with mailing notices and additional supplements, and it's not gonna be included in your effective tax rate calculations.
So the 21st for Medina,
We're hoping to by the 21st.
21st, so we have, okay. It's right around the corner.
Right. So, outside of that, I can tell you that we've had a substantial increase in your tax base. You're looking at about a 30 million plus increase in your net taxable value where we stand right now. So what you intend to do versus where you intend to go with your budget, there is some additional revenue that would be generated off of the value increases that you've received on our side for this year. Again, not knowing what your tax rate will be set at or what your sales tax is this year. I know that a lot of jurisdictions in Atascosa County have seen a boom in their sales tax, and that adjusts your property tax rate down in the effective tax rate calculations.
So the 13 million, just for clarification, you said that's based on the homestead?
The homestead that you implemented last year, it took $13,752,928 off of your tax base today. People can apply for homesteads up to 2 years after they move into their home, and so those numbers are fluctuating regularly. When you put an over 65 freeze in place, what was mentioned earlier about a property owner can take their freeze from another jurisdiction, move it in, it's called a portability. And if you have a property owner that even lives within the city and they live in a $45,000 mobile home, they've lived in that mobile home for years, they have an over 65, and their tax rate is basically set at 0, their freeze is set at 0. And they decide to buy a $200,000 home, they can take that 0 from the $45,000 home to the $200,000 home and automatically freeze it there as well. It's part of the tax code, it's part of the law, so it can be done
How often does that happen?
regularly. And they can take it from any other jurisdiction. So they can come from San Antonio and port here, they can come from Houston, anywhere in the state of Texas. That right to port that freeze percentage, and it's a percentage of the tax that they pay on their current property versus their new property, that can have an impact as your tax base grows. If you get more and more elderly people that are moving in from more expensive areas, they can potentially exempt out that value.
Have you got any communities in here that have done this freeze and you've seen some numbers in return and maybe the council can kind of get an idea?
I can run you some numbers from the city of Poteet. The city of Poteet implemented a freeze on their over 65 and their disabled people back prior to 2006. It's been in place for years and years. So I could run you some numbers and show you what they have, but they're not growing the way you're growing. So it's not apples to apples. I'll just put it out there like that. I don't think it's a bad thing. You have revenue coming in, but I think it's something that you should be careful in and make sure that you know how it's going to impact your tax base.
So in order to make the 21st deadline, it would have to be implemented by then, or adopted by.
I'm not giving you that
No, I'm
deadline.
asking, Richard.
That's the concern, is it has to move very quickly,
Yes.
otherwise there's gonna be confusion with your citizens
Yes.
and redoing the bills.
But anything that we would pass this year could be implemented next year. In the
You can-
next year's
It's just when the effective
The
date.
effective date for next year.
That's what happened, the city that I remember, that's kind of what happened, they did it kind of late in the season. There was some confusion with the citizens, and there was some resending of bills, and it was kind of.
Right.
And I would highly recommend that you get with your assessor collector to run some figures on what the financial impact would be. We can't give you that information, I don't have access to that, we don't bill or collect for you. But, Ms. Holly, I think, is taking over your collection, so I would definitely get some hard numbers from her, because she's gonna have all 3 county information. She collects everything for you, so she will be able to get the data from all 3 of the counties. And I'm not certain, but you need to be sure that your other 2 counties have your homestead exemption information from last year. I'm not sure Ms. Dixon has that.
Yeah, I think, Charles, this is a great motion. I think we should avoid moving too quickly on it and give our personnel enough time to get the numbers back to us. I have to ask you a question though.
Sure.
The newspaper, the Divine News has been reporting record protests for
Medina,
tax base.
for Medina.
No, well, yeah, for Medina. So,
She made the divine news.
so my question is for Atascosa, I would imagine it's the same thing.
We are actually about 300 protests under where we were last year.
Really.
We are,
So if I know of a citizen that has filed a protest but has not received
don't
any
panic,
information,
don't panic, we're still,
so it can
still,
go beyond the 21st?
yes.
Oh, okay,
We just have to be 95% or better in order to certify, and,
okay, by the 21st. Okay. that's
and
good.
we'll probably have hearings into September or maybe October.
Okay, thank you.
Jeanette, anything for Medina County you want to mention? or-
I think she's got it all covered,
I do,
because I don't have near as many accounts as she does.
Provide it.
because I had to apply for the homestead exemption over 65. Would this, if we implemented the automatic,
It's automatic.
so people don't have to know about it and then go in and file for it?
No, it's automatic. Everybody that already has it in our system for the school
Mhm.
or the county, it's gonna come right on through.
If there's a homeowner and your birthday's listed, then it kicks in on that
That's correct.
wonderful thing.
If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me or email me, and I'll be happy to answer for you.
So,
I would say if we're trying to do this before the 21st, I don't know what people's availability is for a special meeting before then. We're trying to get it done sooner.
Well, the problem is we would have to have a meeting that's been published
Exactly.
in order to vote on it.
3 days, not a special meeting, 72 hours notice by either the mayor can call a special meeting or 3 council members can.
But I don't know if that's gonna put a lot of tax on our personnel to do that.
I mean, based off, what Ms. Bardoza said, that approximately 14 million at the previous tax rate, that's $51,000 in ad valorem taxes. But we added 30 million in taxable value in Atascosa. So we're still, you know, with the homes, and all the new homes being built out of the new subdivisions, they're all out of Atascosa County. So we'll continue to add taxable value for the next 10 years.
Charles, I just want to go on record that I do agree with this. I want to see this tax. I just don't want us to go into without knowing everything that we should. Let Lynette get what everybody needs to be get with, or got with. Find out what the information is. I mean, that would be my suggestion, is
There's
that we,
2 things for this, is not only the financial piece, but then the legal piece.
the legal part.
The ordinance, it's very controlled by statute, so the ordinance won't take much time, honestly. I think it's the numbers, understanding the financial impact y'all have, and then, this isn't really a legal opinion, but y'all imagine y'all have budget discussions coming up very quickly, and how that affects your budget. That's the part that the ordinance won't take much time, because pretty routine. It's the financial impacts and how that, the same time y'all are trying to do budgets, that would be my concern.
We have the dates, we don't have dates for the budget
Yeah,
workshop.
we're waiting for these certified to come in and then we'll get, Michelle's office to do the tax calculation worksheet for us. Then we'll have some more,
Loretta does it this year. I'm not your
Oh.
TNT person anymore because y'all went into a collection contract with the county.
oh, okay, well then Loretta will do it for us.
And that might add another, if y'all are switching appraisals, that adds another, doesn't really affect me legally, but that's another, it's making sure stuff doesn't get lost. And everything, we have a nice continuation, is my concern. Again, those aren't really legal issues, it's something that y'all might want to think about.
I mean, proceeding, if you're on board, proceeding with getting the draft of the ordinance going, and then pending finance review, going ahead with it.
Annette, do you have an opinion?
I would like to talk to everybody over at SCOSA, but of course I need to talk to her to find out her open time. I could probably put something together. Most of y'all know I'm very short-handed in the office right now. We've got some issues going on there. We have to have this in by the 21st.
No.
No, it makes it more difficult if we have to do it, if we implement it after the 21st, because then they have to send out supplementals and
And then our
values have
incomes
to be adjusted.
change.
So that gives me 12 days. How do we go about me contacting her and seeing what I've got to do and then letting Ruben know if we can do a special meeting?
Paula would need to come. Paula is our tax assessor collector for the city. We need to reach out to all of them to get the data for you. Paula's got all of her contacts at each one of the tax offices.
And then again, I don't know if Bear County has one of these arbitrary, it
They-
doesn't sound like they have one, but I do remember some deadline in Bear County being, oh, got this in too late, or, and it was an issue, and I don't have that information, I apologize.
Is it possible that the council can provide a motion for allowing our city administrator and myself to look into this and see if we can build a timeline based on collection of data? Be able to put a meeting together?
A special meeting there?
Yes. At least we can go ahead and look into it and try to see if we can get everything lined up and be able to do that.
I don't see the rush. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I don't see the rush in trying to get this done by this year, by this timeline. I think this is something we can definitely do. 200 residencies, that's a big number. I don't want to go into this and find out that it's going to be a bigger impact than what we anticipated. So I would like to see the real numbers come back. So I don't want to.
You want to make a motion?
Mayor, let me make a motion to request the city personnel to investigate and get the required numbers for property freeze for all city residents who are 65 or older and or disabled pursuant to Texas, what's that, Constitution? Article 8, Section 1B, H, and Texas Code, Section 1126, 1B.
So the motion is just to direct the city personnel to get the numbers.
And, yeah, to get back to us with as soon as we can. Not set any particular date.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor?
I'd second, because I'd like to see a little bit of serious consideration on all this before we move forward. And I'd like to see us have time to do it.
I got a second on the motion. Any further? Yes.
Someone signed up for citizens comment, correct?
Yes.
And that-
That was me.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yes, sir.
Disregard.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And whose eyes? 1, 2, 3, 4. And any nays?
We're gonna have the same figures that we have in 6 months, that we'll have in 2 weeks. It's not gonna change, and the only people that were hurting are our residents. Just take all the time you need and take care of them.
But, you know, I want to make sure that you realize that, given whatever time frame it takes to do this, if the council decides to go ahead and move forward and make it effective immediately, we could do it this year. It's just that we're not pushing it to have it done in 12 days, I believe, with that stuff. So I just want to make sure that I reiterate the fact that I'm for this. That's why I made the motion. But I want to make sure that we look at everything before we move forward.
I think the whole council here pretty much feels the same way too. We are to do that, just so we can be able to take care of it. Okay,
Thank you for bringing that up.
thank you so much. Thank you for coming, for bringing the data and anything that you can help our staff with, being able to put that, so we can put a good package for our council. That would be great. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. We really appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to E, discuss and act upon developing plans for the replacement and or upgrade of city's water distribution lines. Alderman Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, I think, a good opportunity now that Alderman Giddy and Alderman Hughes are on board. We discussed this previously, and it's still the elephant in the city as far as getting our water distribution lines replaced. So I wanted to have a talk with the new council members here in a regular meeting. Have some input from James, Matt, and Lynette. The packet that I handed out is a information sheet from the Texas Water Development Fund, as well as a spreadsheet from a city engineer. And if you look at that second page, I've lined through the projects that we've already allocated funds for with the certificates of obligation previously. So of course, these are 2022 numbers, but the 12-inch water pipes that need to be replaced in the city comes out to $17.5 million. So I think that this is something, as far as long-term planning is concerned, that we need to start chipping away at now and addressing in phases. So feel free to research this on your own, but the lowest interest rates that we can get for these projects are through the Texas Water Development Fund. And my concern, of course, is the longer we wait to replace these lines, the greater the expense is going to be down the road. So really, I mean, my thought, thinking about this, of course, we've had a couple of water main breaks recently. And James, how old are those majority of our distribution lines in the city?
Imagine we got some AC lines that were put in the end of 1950, early 60s. We got some steel lines that were put in mid-60s. Mid-50s, I'm sorry. 2-inch steel lines.
What's the lifespan? The effective lifespan, I guess, of the distribution lines.
Texas Rural Water, they got a chart that tells you most of them are somewhere around the neighborhood of 50 to 60 years.
We're pushing it in as far as our lines are concerned.
I agree 100%. But it's not just our water lines in here. And this talks about 12-inch water lines. We've got 6-inch water lines, we've got 2-inch lines. We've got lines all over this town that when, for some reason, a new water line got put in, we didn't kill the other one next to it. So we're back feeding it. We find it all the time. Every time we go to shut something off. Not just that, but the reason we, more times than not, have to shut our entire system down to fix a 6-inch main, because the valve we have didn't work. It froze up or it's broke. Or it was never installed as part of the project it should have been installed with at some point for whatever reason. So these numbers are great, but I'm gonna tell you right now, they're outdated and they're undervalued. If you really want to know numbers, let's get our engineers back in here. Let's get some real numbers on the table and let's know what those costs are, and then let's move forward. But we need to make priorities.
But I mean, these numbers aren't getting any lower though, right?
I think they're far less than what they really should be.
So when I talked to Craig when he was here last time, he said to add another 10 to 12 million on those projections of what we're looking at right now, on what's not completed.
I mean,
But it's not
it's 30 million.
I don't disagree with you, but my problem is we just had a previous discussion a meeting ago about a park. Aging infrastructure. We need to make priorities. We keep shotgunning everything. Staff here, we can't shotgun everything. We can go get you numbers, but we need this. Once we get all the numbers, let's go out and let's get all the data. Make an informed decision, and then let's work in that direction. We keep doing this, and we're not making progress on anything.
Well, I mean, of course, that's the purpose of this item being on the agenda.
Yes, sir? I agree with you.
Plan and to proceed so we can start getting this accomplished in phases, because there's no way we're gonna get $30 million. We,
No.
you know,
We can't.
we had a hard time getting $8.5 million last year for the certificates of obligation. And it's gonna be a struggle to get the money for the sewer plant. So,
Yeah, we still got probably a $12 million sewer plant we're gonna be building in the next year or two. So we're gonna get money for
and
it.
of course, my concern is, I know that Divine has been working on a similar project for the past 5 years, and they're still not done with it. Swapping out their distribution line, so if we start it tomorrow, you know, we'll be done 2028.
If we're lucky. Divine's a different boat. They're doing it because of their testing requirements and the lead in their lines is too high. We don't have that issue. I agree, we need to replace ours so we don't get to that point.
So far, we've been good on there. Council, we do have something that is huge for us to be able to, and I agree with you, Charles, in the sense of the things that we need to do. But just like Matt said, we're gonna need to prioritize. You know, we're dealing with stuff that should have been taken care of for the last 40 years. Okay? And it should have been taken care of within phases, doing the things. Now it's in front of us, but one of our responsibilities is to make sure that we prioritize and we do things as best as we can with the resources that we have available. So all we can do is go ahead and get the information, get the data, and then we're gonna have to make those decisions of where our priorities are, and where we're gonna go ahead and concentrate.
Well, I understand that on the sewage treatment plant, we hit a wall there, and we hit a certain population of that.
Yes, we're required, and we're gonna be getting very close real soon. That's why in the timeline, it's slated for the next year.
Okay.
That's why we've already started the process with getting, the plans drawn up and getting permitting from TCEQ. It's gonna take them a year to just look at the plan and say, yes, we agree with these. By then, we'll be able to have enough homes going in that we need to start pulling that trigger. 75th percentile, then 75, we gotta start design, 90, we have to start construction.
So some of those water lines that are besides the park, that are gonna be going up soon, that are gonna cost the Norman Lake, are any of them going up that road where they want to park at?
We do have, so there is a main line already out there that we call it, what do you call it? The
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel. There's so many stainless steel clamps on that line, on that 6-inch, right? That it all is clamped. That's why it keeps breaking. But it's been breaking for years, but money was never allocated to start replacing it in sections.
So in other words, that pipe is gonna be redone.
Yes,
That pipe is not getting redone, no.
it needs to be.
It needs to be. We aren't replacing any pipes in the ground currently. We're adding infrastructure for the known growth we have right now to keep adequate supply going throughout the town. We've applied for a CDBG grant, the one we talked about previously, and that is gonna replace an that if it gets awarded, that will replace and upgrade an aging line that runs out to the coal mine area. That was part of the CDBG project years ago, but the funding wasn't there, so it got cut off. So we picked it back up.
Using the same, it's the exact same chart that Charles provided, where he made the calculations on, that's out of our capital improvement plan on there. There's an attachment on there. And I know it's hard to read, but you can go in there and you can see where it says W1, W3, W7, W9, you can kind of see the city. So those Ws belong to this chart that is in the front, that goes along with that. Can you pass this down?
It's on our website too.
So that kind of highlights the points of where that line is, or where the line. So TRC has already identified the lines that need to be replaced, in the sense of the 12-inch, the big ones.
The bigger ones.
Because of the capacity. and stuff. So just like Matt said, there's gotta be a look into some of the other ones, but there are lines that are already identified in different parts in the city for them to actually go ahead and replace them, and then have the amounts that go along with
But I
that.
wanna make sure I stress you, it's not just lines, we've gotta get valves.
Yeah.
We've gotta get valves that work in this town, or we'll continue to lose our entire town for 1 6-inch main break. I've got one coming up that we're trying to figure out. I gotta, when we do these, we schedule them so we can do 2 or 3, projects in the same night. But we've got something coming up that we're gonna have to,
The testing points we were talking about earlier, where we had to test 15,000
So-
locations.
so that is a requirement under TCEQ for lead and copper. You have to go out and identify every single connection in your town. At the meter, you have to dig it up and see what kind of piping and connections are there. Then you have to go to the residence and dig that up to see where it connects into the home. And you have to certify back to TCEQ that it does not have any lead or copper components. And it does, we do have some of those. They're required testing, and we do those currently. That was one of the other violations.
Those are the ones that they're actually doing right now.
Yeah, that's something we do now currently. They're already identified and approved by TCEQ, but this is just a new requirement that came out 2 years ago, about 2 years ago. And here we are, a year out.
So we can do that, identify all those, plus
Those
There's
are
a
for the
lot.
sampling, those are for the
sampling
sampling.
too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
got a lot of projects we need to do that I don't disagree with Alderman Kate one bit. I think it's great. We need it here. But like the mayor said, for years, it's set over there. Everybody knew it was there. We just never really did anything with it. And now you gentlemen get it thrown in your lap.
The city also wasn't growing 20, 30 years ago like it's growing right now.
It wasn't. I agree. That will have more value, but it's like everything. Every year we should have, my opinion, every year we should have budgeted something for line replacement.
Those lines have been aging that whole time, though, even though the city wasn't growing, I mean, we still.
They're
needed-
still aging.
we Still needed new lines,
You need to-
20 years ago.
You need to know, hey, these are replaced, that was put in 20 years from now, that line's getting replaced, let's already throw it on the. But I think, my opinion, I think we need to work with TCQ, or not TCQ, TRC, and let's get an updated plan. I can work with James, and let's truly go out and get a true updated capital improvement plan for the city. We're gonna need it anyways for the impact fees and everything else we have to adopt. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right, let's get a true plan, and then let's make a plan for
So
this.
Charles, do you want to make the motion for a capital improvement plan?
Or at least look into the cost, I don't know that, I'm not,
Yeah.
that's gonna cost, but let me start that road, I don't know what that cost
What's
is.
the cost?
Yeah, I mean, the cost is everybody's thing, but just, I use Divine, for example, because they've been working on it, right? They're like 4 or 5 phases in this project. So it's like, hey, we're never gonna have $30 million just sitting in the bank, hey, we can do it. That's why it's like, yeah, I agree with you, a new capital improvements plan, but going in the right direction, because how long is a new capital improvements plan gonna take to get put together? 6 months? How long is this process to apply for a loan, low interest loan gonna take? 6 months? So we're gonna be a year out, and I feel like we're just extremely fortunate that James and his guys have been able to patch up what we have, but the inaction of previous councils, it's put them in a bind, it's put us in a tight spot as far as what we have to do, because now, hey, we have all these projects that these are not wants, these are needs, right? The city needs these for people to live.
I'm gonna interject here. I want you to look at this. Currently, we have $11 million in cash assets. All the dedicated funds there that you see there, from the 8.1 all the way down to the 68,000, are dedicated funds. These are funds that I can only use, or Matt, or we all can only use for certain things. Once I take that out, I've got 1.9 million left.
Yeah.
I have a rotating general fund of 1.3 that we keep in there. Yes, some of that is wiggle room that Matt can use on some of these things that are scaring us.
Well, they're big, unfortunately, that's not gonna give us a drop in the bucket. By the time we have to pay engineering fees,
Right.
what we
So
need to know from council,
after that, we have really what I call money to use of 650,000. That's
You
all
tell
that
us-
we have to go.
go
And
get
so
us
I don't know
figures.
how to do these projects based upon limited funds.
I gotta say that, hold on a second, I gotta say that, earlier this year, I brought up the fact that we needed wastewater,
Yeah.
right? We needed that looked in. The comment was we couldn't afford the engineering survey to get it done. I mean, that's just a survey. We're talking about actually implementing some of this stuff. And I know we got a tax base coming in that's gonna give us a lot more money in the future. I mean, I agree that this item and the next item are definitely need to be looked into, but where's this money coming from?
Well, that's my question marks down below, because we will have an increase in sales tax.
Yes, in the
And add-
future.
And add the more franchise tax and hopefully the ability to assist the COs. But as of right now, my income to expense ratio is 10%.
But guys, we're talking about growth. We can't leverage our monies of tomorrow without thinking about the actual people and equipment we still have to put on. That's what, we're not gonna bring the money, putting in new houses, that ad valorem's not gonna bring us very much. We gotta spur commercial. That's where we're gonna get our money is in the commercial growth. In some kind of industrial, something that's gonna produce there. Outside of that, we can't.
Okay, but going back to the problem, how are you supposed to have new growth without replacing your lines, without maintaining your infrastructure? So that they go hand in hand.
It's a balancing act, but
And I'm not saying come up with, hey, we gotta come up with 50 million tomorrow. Hey, what does that say? Where's the spreadsheet at? 3 million, right? We gotta go down the road, right? We gotta replace it as we go. We got 3 million, 3.8, 2.2, 3.7, 3.1, whatever, 5 projects, spread out over the next 10 years. It's not gonna get done overnight, but if we don't take those steps to get there, there's not gonna be a tomorrow night.
I don't disagree with you, but everything, we keep getting shotgun in here, the staff does. So all I need to know is from the council, is you tell me, you focus on that project, go give me figures on how much that could cost us, and can we afford it?
Yeah, that's
And
my
we can tell you
question.
if we can afford it.
Charles, what is your motion?
I haven't made the motion yet.
Yeah, it's,
So I would move, that authorize the city administrator to speak with TRC to update our capital improvements plan to get us a cost on updating our water distribution system throughout the city of Water.
yeah, I would definitely second that. We need to look into the future. We need to move
I think
forward.
that's fair.
Okay. The motion got a second. Any further discussion on that?
I guess, okay, I'm sorry.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much, council, appreciate it. We'll take a look. We'll talk a little bit more once we get to Public Works. Report. Okay, F, discuss and act upon developing plans for upgrading and improving the city's roads and streets to accommodate future development. Alderman.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, same vein as the previous item, right? That stuff that's in the ground, we gotta work on that, our roadways and how we're moving people from one end of town to the next is equally as important. That first sheet is a brochure from TxDOT, that's the state infrastructure bank. Pretty much the lowest financing that we can get for roadway projects is gonna be through them. Unfortunately, in looking into this some more, only certain roads in the city would be eligible to use those funds. So that if you look at that second page, that's a map off TxDOT's site. They're planning the highlighted ones. They're the roads that are in magenta, whatever, pink, purple. Those are the roads that would be eligible for using a loan of that nature. As you'll note, of course, 2790, 132, the state maintains those right now. So really, the road that comes to mind, we've talked about this previously, I know Matt's brought it up, it's gonna cost a lot of money, is Somerset Street. Bringing people from the Granberg, outside of town, into town, bringing them across the city to the school. Again, we're always looking for avenues to find funds. just looking around, online today, some other counties, in South Texas, they get the full amount financed for 1%, 6%, lower than the market rate, let's put it that way, way lower than we get, elsewhere, way lower than we get through a bond or certificate obligation. But again, I wanted to bring it to, the council's attention that this is something every day it seems like someone's complaining to me about, Somerset Street coming into life. It's a busy street. You can see on that map the numbers too. I think they're from 2021. They were saying 3,300. They're probably higher now since we've got some more people moving into town, and I think that's only going to increase. So again, I just wanted to put this out there, and again, and like Matt said, not shotgun stuff, but focusing on improvements for the city that we can make and make this community a better place. Because I know, hey, money's an issue, but it's always going to be an issue.
I will tell, and you're correct, Charles. So I will tell you that Matt and Lynette have been working on trying to figure out different sources of funding. As you're aware, even here recently, we're trying to replace a water line. One of the things is they look at demographics and the income base, and sometimes we don't qualify for some of these grants or loans that are there in the lower area just because of our demographics, and they're changing. So that puts us in a different category with being able to. But I agree with you in the sense of we got to be creative and got to be able to figure out ways that we can go ahead and try to take care of that. But Vital is changing, and things that we would qualify for a few years ago, we no longer, because either income levels or other demographics have changed, and we no longer are eligible for some of these things. Yeah.
So again, I'm glad Alderman Cates bringing this up, because it's another one that I think about all the time. In our comprehensive plan that you saw that Alderman Cates handed out, they did a traffic study in there, but that had no, thoughts of these new subdivisions coming in out there. We need to revamp it all. We need to look at a new, comprehensive plan. I've tried to work through the universities so they can do them a lot cheaper. Unfortunately, they're booked out for years to come, so they're not interested right now. They can't squeeze us in. But I mean, talking probably $200,000 was the last quote I got to get anyone done. And we paid $50 for the other one in 2014, 2015. But we need one. Again, it's another playbook for us to work off of moving forward.
So we're still searching.
Just for a plan, yes, sir.
So we're still searching and trying to see if we can get something less through some sort of educational.
I'm trying to see if ACOG's got some money up there that they'll give us to help develop this plan for anything we can find.
We're still looking and trying to see if we can get, because it's pretty significant for the cost that goes along with that.
But that will help us identify these projects like Mr. Biggs talking about too. And it's public input, and that's the community coming together on everything. We'll know exactly what the community wants in.
But I will say this. The council here in the last few years has actually moved forward. We've done great things. We brought TxDOT into the play with routine conversations. And I think we're the benefit to have. Some of our main roads are going to have more of the higher traffic, like the frontage roads are being taken care of. Yeah, we're dealing with the pain right now, but it's actually a good thing because it's before the rest of the houses come along that way. So that's a good thing. Right in front of City Hall, we got a project right in front of it here where we're going to have a designated turning lane that is going to go ahead and free up some traffic and go ahead and turn and go towards the H-E-B. And this is because of the relationships that we've had with TxDOT. And none of these, what costs us is the pain and trying to explain and communicate and do everything. But the majority of all this is being at the cost of TxDOT and working on the roads that need to be fixed. So I got to give kudos to them because they're actually helping us move forward with some of the roads. But I do agree with Charles in the sense that we have some roads, other roads that actually need some attention. We just have to figure out some way to do that.
Well, I mean, I wish that we could get this stuff done for free, the comprehensive plan, the rest of the roads in Lytle. What really got me thinking about our roads in particular were the roads around the schools and how we just had really bad traffic jams when the school's in session. The roads are not wide enough they're not, I feel like they're unsafe, even though we're gonna be making some improvements in the future with, the sidewalks going in around there. As far as people waiting to pick up their kids or dropping their kids off in the morning, I feel like, improved shoulder will go a long ways to, facilitating the traffic right there, but, at the same time, we're very fortunate that we have a limited number of roads that people use to get around the city. I mean, we have 2790 and 132. That's gonna fall on the state to fix. The state is gonna put that bill, the access road, 35, all that, the state, federal funds. But I guess, so, what I would hope that we could focus on now is the street projects moving forward, because I know we budget X amount of dollars, $200,000, but a big project like Somerset Street, which is a major collector for Lidle, is gonna take more than $200,000.
That would take a few million probably. Realistically, I mean, because I talk about calming traffic, that'd be the perfect spot for a roundabout. To calm traffic coming into town and leaving with, you gotta do drainage, all kinds of stuff we have to do.
Drainage is a big one.
Drainage is where it's gonna cost us. But yeah, I agree with Alderman Tate. That's a main road in and out of our town getting to the schools.
And again, this is not, I know that, the money's always gonna be an issue, but this is not something I expect to happen overnight. These are conversations that I would like for us to focus on moving forward to see if we can't get something going in the next 6 months to a year, because it's gonna take time. Unfortunately, this is something like so many other things that should have been addressed 20 years ago, and it wasn't. And Charles, just to let you know, he's been having those conversations already. Well, he's already been doing a lot of legwork and trying to figure out different things for that road and a few other roads inside the city of how we could get creative. Yeah, I've had these conversations with Matt going back probably 4 or 5 years, it's something that I think that's, you have to be passionate about making these improvements. And everybody, especially, Miguel and Richard coming on board, getting up to speed with, hey, look, this is what the new council's been doing, because past ones, they've been lacking in getting this stuff, being afraid to pull the trigger on projects. We can't be afraid, set our sights, pull the trigger. So, if that is our focus, then what can we do to enable you to make it happen?
Once we know figures, once we can identify projects and we know their priorities, then finance can go and say, this is what we can afford to do. This is how much we can afford to borrow and comfortably pay it. Because the last thing we want is to say, okay, go out and get the money, we get the money, and then here's somebody say, well, I'm not sure how we're gonna pay for that now. Hopefully we did exactly what we were asked to do, so that's not it.
Trying to make a motion similar to the last motion.
Is that what's gonna, for just roads, or because you were talking about a new comprehensive plan?
I don't think I need a motion. Let me continue working the avenues I am for a comprehensive plan. If we can do that, then we get the master plan on the roads too. If I can get ACOG or somebody to help funnel that cost, and we can figure out how to afford it in the budget, maybe.
I know the mayor's gonna tell you, but the current item is about the roads.
I move that we table this item for 1 month to allow Matt to gather more information and report back.
I'll second that. For the comprehensive.
Okay, any further discussion on this?
Just in general.
Okay. All those in favor, let's go ahead and table this item for a month and then come back. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much, council. Appreciate it. Okay, 7:37 right now, we're doing good. Let's go ahead and try to see if we can take care of some of our department reports. So the first one we have is animal control. Santi. Come on up.
Here's some highlights for the month of June. We were down to 32 animals, but with people coming in, dumping animals in the city, I took in 12 animals, so it brought me back up to 44. We had transferred 14 animals out. That was 6 dogs, 8 cats.
Good.
We adopted out 11 animals, 9 were dogs, 2 were cats.
Awesome.
Bella's Pantry had 100 pet owners come, 9 of them were new people. Out of 11 volunteers, holding up to 30.45 hours, and Live Animal Allies, which is Lorena and Betty, they're working really hard with rescues to take animals from us. That's APA, Rescue Pets Movement, Leander, and I'm still working on the Humane Society, but they're still booked up all the way until we take some animals from them. But other than that, trying real hard to get these animals out.
You guys have been, I want to give kudos to Lynette too with helping out, trying to take care of some of the adoptions and trying to get the word out there. I also want to give credit to, is it Petunias? Petunias, right, out of Castro. They also been helping out a lot
Yes.
and trying to help that. And you want to let the council know the low event that we have Saturday?
We also,
Yeah, but it's a spay and neuter,
Yeah,
right?
spay and neuter, it's the same grant with the Catherine Heigl Foundation, where they, gave money to get these, owners, free spay and neuter for their animals. So we'll be having the other one this Saturday.
So one of the requirements that go in there is highlight, what they're doing and the pets, and they do a quick little video interview the folks that are taken care of, right? And, I mean, you can go on, it's actually on the Facebook,
Yes.
right? Okay. So you can go in there and take a look at the video. But, I mean, they went out, he had a film student or somebody associated with film, right?
Yes, that's,
Out of
Corey's
Petunias, right?
Corey's daughter.
Yeah. So she helped out, and it was class, and they got up to the highest levels, and they
Yeah.
gave kudos to Lido for what they did, putting that together. So they're very excited of being able to fund this. So this is money that is being donated,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
For us to be able to take care of spay and neuter in this area. So it's pretty neat, and Santi and the folks have done a great job of being able to highlight our animal care and control for that. And kudos to Betty too, she's been involved with it.
Yes, definitely.
So.
Something clarification, those 12 animals, were they surrendered or were they dumped?
Picked up. You didn't see.
Were surrendered?
Picked up.
They were dumped.
out. They were
They were
dumped.
dumped?
I got calls of dogs being out, then I went out. I had 3 dogs up by Richie's mom's house. They're hanging out over there, and then now they're hanging out at Chaparral Ford. I was able to catch one. So there's still one left over there, and there's still the one, that little white, the one that was, roaming the park, that one event. It's still roaming the city. Still don't know where it's hanging around at. I get called, it's over here, a gun shop, and now it's over by the high school. So he's all around, I just don't know where that is.
Houdini.
Yes.
Yeah, Houdini.
So yeah, so. And then I had a lady, come in today about, finding a dog across from the Catholic Church. Told her I couldn't take it because we were all full. I forwarded her to contact Axos to see if they can.
Do you know the appointments that are made for the standard that they're sending out reminders for people that are?
I'm not too sure. That would be with Allies, Betty Kroger. She's the one that handles all that appointment, set up appointments.
Normally she gets, and I might be wrong, so correct me, I think she gets a lot of folks lined up at
Yes.
Bella's Pantry, is that correct?
Mm.
So normally during Bella's Pantry fill up, not only to get the food, but some of them just show up to get signed up, is that
Get
correct?
signed up for it.
And some people forget their appointment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think she does, remind them about the appointments coming up. Then if they can't make it, then she calls the next person.
try to get some nothing. Because it was,
So does that grant cover, do we get priority to City of Lotto residents, or is it just anyone?
The majority of the people that come in are the same people that we take care of with the Bella's Pantry, so it's this area.
This
You might have some folks, I think we get quite a few from Atascosa, but it's Atascosa City, that are right
In Beartown.
Yeah, that come from in that area. I know in the last Bella's Pantry, there were some people that we were asking questions because they were coming from Bear County,
Yeah, and
like
we had-
inside of San Antonio,
we had
right?
someone come from New Braunfels.
Yeah. So we were pointing,
Spay and neuter is great because it's gonna help us control our population in the town, but and I don't know that what they're doing, but if we always spay and neuter all the animals from outside the town, how does that ever help control the population inside our town?
the majority are from inside the city.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Try to do that. Charles?
A lot of their rescues, so Betty sets up the rescues that we are getting, to make sure that they come back.
Yeah, and that was my question, of course, that
looking at those pantry, we had 100 pet owners came and 21% was from Lidle, so it's like, are we subsidizing other communities, you know, when they should be picking up the slack? You know, these other communities, do they not have animal control services?
They do, Atascosa, of course, in Bear County, they, or Atascosa City, they rarely come out.
So they just prefer the dog food that y'all have, cat food that y'all have.
I think we're more convenient, we become their home, this is where they go for everything, so that's why they come here.
But we only give them a limited amount of days.
Yeah, we'll give them enough,
Yeah,
give them enough to get by to get some more.
until their next paycheck is what we tell them.
They get a portion of it, and it's not based on, and we get everything that comes from the Humane Society. None of it, we don't spend any money on any
No,
of it.
we don't.
I'm just thinking, like, we have a limited supply, and we're adding people, right, it's kind of, that's the theme, right, we're adding folks to Lidle, we gotta take care of them. You know, or some of our residents gonna be out of luck if people from other communities, you know, future policy shift, like, hey, you have to reside in the city, or you have to reside in the ETJ to help folks out. I can tell you in the last 3 years that I've been doing it, Charles, I can tell you less than a handful of people that we had to turn away. Normally, we're able to take care of everybody. Is that fair, son?
That's correct.
I mean, I hope that's always the case, Mayor. I just know that we should be taking care of our residents first. So in the future, if we have to shift that, then we gotta shift it. Or if we can get more, you know, we know we have people, if we can get more, food, more resources, then gotta work on it now. So,
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Sam. Keep doing a great job out there, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And get that info and send it out, you know, for the appointments. and
Oh,
stuff
yes,
like that.
I'll be okay.
And then if you can, get the link for that video, and then send out an email.
Oh, yes, I'll share it, I'll send it to you.
So they can also get it, okay?
Yes, sir.
That'd be great. All right, library director, Cassandra, come on up.
Okay, here's up and down. Go to the next one. Circulation went up, it's been going up slowly, and it's summer, so we get more from the summertime. We actually had more this time around for users, 35 and 72 checkouts. A lot of library cards, we've had a lot of new people come in and get library cards.
Good.
Storytime's doing really well, we get new people every week, and so we got between 15 and 17 new kids, like, so, but they don't come all the time, so we have an average of 7 kids a week, so sometimes it's more. Still working on the labor project. We're still offering curbside.
Do you still have a lot of curbside, or just?
We have probably half a dozen, but we still offer it because some people just don't want to come in. And then there's some moms that have found it convenient because they have little ones that they come from the store, they don't want to have to wake the child up and then dinner, so they order it ahead of time and then they just. And of course, those are our monthly displays, the day, all by name, and it was National Adopt a Cat, or Adopt a Cat. Oh, no, it was a calendar for the month.
Council?
Any questions?
Questions, Council President?
That's okay. We're still learning to work it because we're like, how do you reduce the size and you have to go in?
Your you printer to you.
Yeah, it's,
That's good.
we still have the old one in the back just in case something happens and oh, I know this one came off, but we're still working with it.
That's good.
But it's the good thing is the copy is clean, like the other copy machine is.
That's good.
Do we buy that outright, or do
We purchased it outright out of budget, funds already in the budget.
we have a contract for that maintenance?
Now, we found those contracts in the police department side, they weren't as well.
Okay.
When you just call them when you need service, it works a lot better. It just keeps them honest.
Paula is our copier maintenance.
That's it.
All right.
Making copies.
She's got a lot of hours.
You keep bragging on that, she's gonna ask for pay.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, appreciate it. All right, Public Works, James, come on up.
She's gonna click this for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Total work orders for the month of June, 85. Installed 4 new meters, fixed 2 main breaks, replaced 1 meter, replaced 1 service line, found 1 service line leak, 4 leaks on the customer side. We did 15 rereads, 4 were requested by the customer and 11 by the city. On the sewer, we had 1 sewer main stoppage. Miscellaneous, final on gas and water, we had 15 new customers, 19 cutoff list. We didn't do a cutoff list. No reconnections, and miscellaneous work orders were 26. There's a chart on the breakdown of the work. Man hours, 736, water installation, 64, water maintenance, 73, sewer maintenance, 26, sewer plant maintenance, 108, meter reading, 64, rereads, 7.5 hours, and asphalt work, 8 hours. Locates, 73.5, mooring and shredding, 12 hours, and burning brush, 53 hours. That's kind of a chart on the man hours. Okay, water usage, we're authorized to use, we have 785 feet. Reduction with this 30 to 35%, we have to cut back 131.51 acre feet, which leaves us 653.49 acre feet. So far this year, we used 243.38 acre feet. And that's the stages we were in January. We changed in April, again in May. We went back down in May and back up in June. We got a reduction of 16%. There's a chart.
So we're doing good. That's our numbers, even with the reduction, right?
First one there is how much water we have. That's set over 700 acre feet. We can use a little over 600 feet of it. We use a little over 200 feet.
So, you have anything else?
Other questions?
Got 2 things. Can you let the council know about, we got TCQ coming by and looking at the wastewater treatment?
Yeah, we have a sewer plant inspection next Tuesday. They send us a list of about 20 items they want. And they'll actually do a walk through the sewer plant.
Awesome. Awesome. Just for your awareness, come over and check our facility out. And the other thing, just wanted to say thanks again for that leak that we recently had. That was a whole crew, a small crew. Some people were on vacation, and James was in the control panel out there just monitoring and hey, how much pressure here, pressure over here, just making able to keep it right at the level above where we didn't need to go into the water bowl. At the same time, our crews, Matt was out there, being able to take it apart and do all that. We usually bring other folks to help us out, but this one truly was just the city taking care of it, and it was a pretty big fix in there, but they did a great job. They did a great job being able to get us through that. I mean, doing that creative with using some fire hydrants to kind of balance the pressure. So they worked out. It all worked out. We don't have to do a boil without them. We thought we were. I mean, we couldn't see the water drop inside. They just kept going up and we kept pumping it out and trying to figure it out. But then the guys just stepped back and just thought about different things, and all of a sudden, boom, it just actually worked itself out and be able to do that. And they were able to get in there and take care of that. I think we had a total of 6 pumps.
5.
5. 3 3-inch, no, 4 3-inch pumps and a 2-inch. And we could not get the water level. We were putting it in fast because every time we'd start to bring it down, the pressure would drop and James would have to keep the pumps back on to get the pressure back in. So we're able to relieve pressure other ways and got it working.
That'd be good, but great job. Great job to you, Matt.
Thank you.
Take care of that.
I have a question. I'm done yet. imagine a perfect world and a magic wand. If you could have X number of people tomorrow to have the staff that you really want, how many people would that be?
We probably need a couple.
Two.
We were 6, and we were having trouble finding one.
We still have a position open. I've got one applicant that came in I got it today.
I would say
So if you had magically two
about 2 more
pretty
people.
qualified people tomorrow, you'd
Yeah.
feel pretty good. Right, budget coming up, are you asking for these 2 more?
Yes. We talked about that.
It wasn't there, but yes, after talking with Alderman Kate and the council with direction, we are looking at that for the install of the radio read meters, and then we'll figure out how we.
I know you guys are working like crazy, and if you need people, man, we need to get you some people.
They're just hard to find nowadays. Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta
Yeah.
do.
We need to look, I can tell you the last one we had lined up that I thought would have worked, it came with licensing. We offered him more than he was being paid at the other jurisdiction, and he still turned us down.
What kind of skill set are you offering for?
Preferably a Class C water or wastewater license would be excellent. We can talk about salary after, or how much we get after that. We don't really have a set range for it, but it's to the point now, I mean, we're not gonna pay you more than you're worth, but we'll pay you competitive for the market where we have a salary survey that was done, so we know what that market is.
Good, I just know for years, the whole city has been kind of undermanned, and there's been some mindset about, well, we'll just put that off. And here's Public Works, if the water's not working and the toilets don't flush, talk about citizens not being happy, Charles. Citizens are not gonna be happy if the toilets in the water.
And it's not slowing down in Public Works.
Yeah,
Because
my
that's
point
just
is
keeping
that-
the day-to-day operations going. We've got all kinds of other projects we need to
My point
do, and still, yeah.
We've got a couple of contractors helping us out too,
Right,
doing new,
but
misfortune deals.
I suspect they're a little higher priced than more qualified people on staff would be, right?
Thank you.
Anything else?
Say my piece.
All right. Council, we're at a point where we can take a break, or you want to go ahead and press on? What would you like to do?
Press on.
Press on, okay, Richie, here we go.
Morning.
Come on up.
Yeah, I'm
ready.
Yeah, I'm ready for a break. I don't care.
No pressure, Richie.
You're gonna pop it. Okey dokey. Oh, howdy. I'll just read through that real quick. 237 calls for service, nothing out of the ordinary on that page. Next, please. Activity there, nothing out of the ordinary, it's about a typical month. Next, please. 437 citations, we got there mostly speeding, 191 speeding tickets, that's a lot. I don't know how long will, traffic, of course, we had some speed limit changes last couple of years, and some of that's affecting that. A lot of traffic in town, of course, it's almost impossible to stop a speeder on Main Street anymore unless it's a holiday, because traffic's so stacked you can't turn on them, Anyway, but so far we've been a little busy, that's quite a bit, that we've been doing lately, so next time, you can go through these racial profiles, that's something, again, we keep for our, you just go through however many of those there are, there's quite a few. That's something I keep for my annual report, I do it monthly. Okay, Delta arrest, there's no, it's all the same stuff, warrants, dope, DWI, theft, that's about 99% of everything we do is warrants, dope, DWIs, and theft.
Richard, are those the majority out of the city?
Out of the city, what?
In other words,
People were arrested? Oh, yeah, I bet we don't arrest. I'd say we arrest 10% of people that live here, it'd be surprised, maybe 5%.
the majority of those cases are out.
But that's always been that way. See, we're Matt they deal with people in the city, Animal Control, there's a lot of people in the city. Council talk to people, our workload is not people, it's not people that live here. Code compliance, you're always dealing with a person that, lives here or owns property here. Police work, 99% of the people we deal with don't live here. They don't own property here, they're just passing through. So, so that's kind of sum it up. That's what it's always been. It's been that way 24 years ago when I was at Chief. Took over in August of '99, so it's been the same ever since then.
I find it interesting.
It is everywhere.
People that you pull over, not you personally, but that police department pulls over, they have other warrants or other
Oh,
residents.
you gotta realize, we're 30 minutes from one of the largest cities country. So we're not in the same, I'm not in the same boat as a chief that's up in, you know, where I'm from, up in East Texas, somewhere off the main drag, you know, or some chief in West Texas. We're dealing with the same big city crime, you know, the same big city criminals that have their cousin moves out here and gets a place, moves in one of these subdivisions, their cousin moves out and they come to see him on Friday night and get stopped, and they got some dope and they got some warrants and, you know, so yeah, we've got an interstate highway. That alone, those people are gonna get off the interstate because twice in my career, we have had murder suspects exit Lytle on the way to flee the country and have stopped here and bought things using debit and credit cards. Now, normally, we get there 6-8 hours after we get the call at Chicago PD, and we had actually Minneapolis and Chicago, so I guess they want to come down there. But to make a long story short, those people, suspects, they're getting off the interstate. If our guy sees those people, they got a sticker out or they don't use their turn signal. So there's a lot. The interstate alone, and now, and that's what from my standpoint, we're getting a big truck stop over there. Okay, what's a truck stop going to bring? Okay, you are good, upstanding people. When you think of a truck stop, what do you think of? You know, give me something. Give me something. Prostitution, drugs, human smuggling. Sir?
Coyote.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I look at as a law enforcement professional. Okay? So, I mean, that's just, so you see one thing, I see something else, you know? I mean, that's just, but you see it, you know. But so there's so we're gonna have a lot more people getting off the interstate. You know, we're gonna have a lot, so we've got a lot going on. So I'll remind that when you ask me about how many people the Magic Wand deal, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's it. Go ahead, Lynette. Okay, you can keep going, and it's all the same junk. Only the names have changed, you know. What's that, they sound dragnet, only the names have changed. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead, just, you know, really nothing, you know, not much identity theft, not much. Burglaries, they got in the shed, got an air compressor. Best Western broke in a car, got some ID and credit card info. Don't leave stuff of value in your cars, please. Lyle mini storage, ladder and tools. Criminal mischief, broken window, key vehicle, damaged fence, you know, basic stuff there. That's all really pretty minor for thefts, stuff like, okay, so they stole a car over from the trailer park. It was recovered the next day. Second time the lady's vehicle's been stolen before, about 2 years ago, it was recovered on the cost. They just use it, and somebody's taking it and using it for a few hours and just leaving it on the side of the road. Lonesome Dove, that's a brand new house under construction. They deliver those cabinets in there. I guess they put them in the garage, and you know, there's a whole slew of people make their living go around stealing from subdivisions. So then we had that happen. Now, we had a lot of thefts when Saddle Ridge started up. These new subdivisions, it's going to be worse because Saddle Ridge got one way in, one way out. These others, they're going to be able to head out 2790, be out in the county before we ever even know what's hit us. So it's going to be a little more challenging in those new subdivisions. Fighting the theft during the construction phase. And then once they're established, fighting routine home burglaries. Because I was thinking a lot of these people are going to be retired, but from my personal study that I did based on all my knowledge I got from being at Lytle High School of Education, it appears that a lot of people living in Saddle Ridge are not retired. The first few homes were retirees, a lot of them now are not retirees. So that's just something we've noticed. So what does that mean? During the day, retirees, if you're retired, you stay home. Retirees, I mean, people aren't retired, go to work, their houses are empty. So that's where your home burglaries, these big subdivisions, you know, they boom, 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 they hit 3 or 4 houses. I'm sorry. Trash cans. Every time the wind blows, we have a storm, people report the trash can stolen. That's almost it. Those probably were not stolen. HEB Plus, they hit a couple of them barbecue kits. HEB loves setting them out there, and you know, you set enough of them out there, somebody's gonna take one of them. You know, groceries, John Small Engine Repair. I don't know if that's over there, if that was really stolen, it's just lost somewhere we can't find it. Merchandising, product, next please. And we're on YouTube, I stand behind everything I say 100%. Go ahead, ma'am.
Special events, we're still doing some escorts there, for different teams, department head meetings. HEB had their grand opening. David went to a TML class in shirts, little escort stuff. Go ahead, ma'am. So we got HEB open with our fire. Fresh and Hood, we did some food truck inspections. Camino Real had their annual inspection. We also spent some time up here. Go to the next page, maybe 2 pages here. Had a burn permit issued. We did a lot of work up here on this new construction up on Priest Boulevard. We worked on that quite a bit, trying to get that straightened out. Now, backside of that is we have this program the city uses where we log on there and approve stuff and whatever. So, you know, I'm figuring out how to integrate this where it's really not a true picture of everything we're doing, but just kind of a snapshot of what we're doing. Those are cases we filed, not a whole lot filed. We did file 4 felonies of Atascosa County, not much on the misdemeanor side. Go ahead, ma'am. Nothing over in Medina County and nothing in Barrett County, thank God. The last one would be 5/8 to 6/14. We had 61 hours of overtime. We had 25 hours of vacation taken, 45 hours of sick leave, and 16 hours of personal leave taken. Next. Auxiliary, this is Leatra. She's been out the last couple of weeks, 46 hours, and she's helped us with various events. Anything else on there? That's reserves, nothing there. I think maybe Matt worked one day there. I know he did. Well, maybe he did. All right, go ahead. Anything else? That's it. Okay. So
Can I
when we
make
got,
one comment real quick, Chief?
yeah, go ahead.
For anyone watching, even though that subdivision may not have as many people during the day, our police patrol it very heavily. So criminals, just be aware that we still patrol it.
You think they were gonna watch this?
You'd be surprised.
Well, then.
But you got those, and you also have the retirees that are
Oh,
walking
yeah, the
around.
retire, that's what, that's, my neighborhood's very safe. We got a lot of retirees. They know everything that's going on, you know, it's great. What else is happening? We got 2 vehicles ordered, but we've had them ordered for almost a year. I've got another email in, so I'm trying to get an update. We're at 5 vehicles right now, and one of them's, you know, had a rough run at 2017. But, we got that going. We're gonna advertise in the morning. I've got to take my wife to Dr. Bernie, but in the morning, David's gonna bring down some stuff so we can get to the newspaper. Are you wanna try to do that or not?
Maybe a little, I got a lot of support.
Well, I can send it to her. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, we're gonna try to advertise for that one position we've got. Again, talking about hiring public works positions, talking about hiring all these positions. Our pay went up, I don't know, 20%, I don't know, 20-something%, maybe 20%. And it's just a very, very challenging time. Why is that? Well, I mean, you look on the news, 3 San Antonio policemen get arrested for murder. Now, we're not going into detail happened there. None of those people joined the San Antonio Police Department thinking at the end of their shift they were going to get arrested for murder. So from talking to young people, from talking to middle-aged people, they see saying, wow, gosh, what heck of a kind of job is that? Well, 1 minute I'm out there and I think I'm doing great, and next minute I get arrested for murder. So that changes the way people look at careers, and we're seeing that. It started with the George Floyd riots, and we're seeing it now. Point blank, people are telling me I want to be a fireman, I wouldn't be a policeman, the last thing in the world. So, and again, that's just what you hear. It's not, I mean, it's nothing you can, it's all over, you can read stuff about it, but this way you hear it from me, it makes it more about it, more personal. Anyway, but there are people out there, we have a wonderful place to work, and, see, we have good equipment, we have good pay, good benefits, it's a safe community.
Richie, how many members have you had?
What is wrong? And why are you wearing Skip's shirt? Okay. Any questions?
Okay, Council? Anything else?
I can talk all night.
Please,
trust me. Please trust me.
Yeah, we'd all like to go home.
That's why my wife likes me coming down here, because I don't talk when I'm at home.
Congrats again, thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Richie. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 8, informational items. I go around the room. Michael? Paula? Annette? Go ahead.
The only thing I'll mention is we're gonna look at, electronic devices, a tablet, something like that for the council for, us sending you your agendas on, if you need them out here during the meeting, so we can go digital with that. So if you're interested in a device like that, get with me, so that way we can buy what we need and not overbuy. We bought the iPad, or it was, Surfaces a long time ago. So it's time if you want a device, let me know so we can look at getting devices for the council to have.
Make it easier. Richie, any last minute?
No, I don't want to start.
James, go back over here. Anything from Divine News? Nothing, all right.
No, nothing that you can get free. I mean, buy a paper.
Hey, please pass, last meeting, I passed the kudos for the community guide. To Casey, KK and Casey, or Caitlin, I'm sorry. Please pass, our best. They did a great job. Caitlin, thank you. All right. Anything? Santi? Cassandra? Anything?
Thanks for letting me cover.
Appreciate it. That'll be good. Thank you for being here.
Real quick on, this, the park we have already. What's the chances of getting more lighting there for later hours?
More lighting or better quality lighting?
Or just having lighting for later, like, cause they're only limited to a certain time they can be there. You have so many teams there, maybe stretch it out where, I guess more lighting, yes.
Talking about the ball.
Are the ball
Yeah,
fields?
The ball field, yeah.
We started down that path a while back and we had to put the stops on it because of some, major improvements needed at the sewer plant. So right now it's
on hold.
Yeah, we haven't looked any further into it.
They're telling me, I'm like, all I can do is.
I had some questions. We talked about using, hotel occupancy tax money to pay for it. If we can show that we generated enough income into the hotel industry to hold, but when I asked all the people around that could host tournaments, I was told they could host about 3 a year. Another gentleman, I think it was the electrician doing the work, he does stuff on the north side with the ball. He's like, oh, if you open your thing up, I can fill up every weekend with teams out of San Antonio, but I don't know if we want to do that and never have a park cartel. So, but locally, we couldn't fill it, so we had to generate the money out of just regular tax dollars.
Andrew, did that cost came out to close to 300,000, just so, to put the lights in the field to.
Really? I wouldn't think it was about that.
Neither did.
But get with us, we can get you the information. Those are all there. So you can have that. Anything else you want to announce? That's it? All right, okay, a few things I want to pass on. First of all, special thanks to all the city employees, the chamber for making our 4th of July so special, the VFW, a few other organizations that came out there. It was a home run. Lots of positive feedback, and these are from folks all the way from Hondo to Divine. We have people here from Seattle, Washington that were attending here. We have folks from different places, but we got a lot of feedback. It worked out really good. So a lot of kudos. Matt, I know you're a big part of that, so I just want to say thank you for your involvement and getting this stuff set up.
Very well
Wayne and Pete,
attended event. There
great
was a lot
job
of people.
out there too, helping out, so it worked out really good. And the PD, you guys are, along with Atascosa and Medina County.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Want to give a heads up on these actually went out. CPS flyers went out to a lot of home residents, both in the P.O. box and the houses. So they're in community fair, that's what they're referring to it. It's on the 12th of July from 5:30 to 7:30. They want to talk about the programs, they have activities for the kids, a few other things that are available. So they're encouraging folks to stop by over our community center. So it'll be for those 2 hours. Please get the word out. We posted it in social media in different places already to do that. Also wanted to announce on the 13th of July, we have, it looks like Stripes will be doing a soft opening. So finally, our new gas station is going to be opening up, so they'll have a soft opening on the 13th. There's another event that you probably got an email where they just want to invite some selected folks. But the 13th is the soft opening, and then on the 3rd of August is going to be the grand opening of the actual thing. So more details to come, but just so you have an idea.
So Mayor, does that mean from the 13th to the 3rd, they're gonna be off and on open?
They're going to be open.
They're gonna be open.
They're going to be open. Yeah, they'll have a soft
But their
opening.
official openings will be on the.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. But take a look at your emails. I know there was an email that Lynette sent out. There's more details on that. On the 19th of July, just want to give you a heads up. We have World War II Pearl Harbor survivor Gilbert Myers. He's celebrating his 100th birthday. And they're having a ribbon cutting. This is for the VFW. I know it's outside the city limits, but they play a big part with all of our veterans here. So there's gonna be information, invites, and different things, and they're doing a big celebration for Mr. Myers. And we'll help out with that portion of it, just to let you know. Also on the 3rd of August, besides the grand opening and the stripes, want to let you know that our folks that have been helping us out with our community outreach that we do every other month, they're gonna be putting a free haircuts event for students, and it's open to everybody. So be able to take care of our students. The students start on the 9th of August. So they're putting this event all just for that, along with some other organizations to be able to help out with that. That's on the 3rd of August. And we'll send some stuff out. ACOG and Gracie from Medina County will be sending me something, and we'll get it out there. But I've seen some flyers floating out there from some of the barbers that they're bringing in. The barbers, they're trying to get a good group. They're looking for about 12 barbers, and I think they have 8, but they're still working on those.
And it's all in conjunction with the outreach.
It's all in conjunction, yeah, but it's gonna be a separate day. So they have to do this on the 3rd of August early because school starts on the 9th. And then we'll have our normal one on the third week of that. Want the council to know that we finally got our emergency management plan approved by TDM. Matt, thank you for all your hard work, to Kimura too. A lot of coordination, we took care of that. Now we move on to the ESFs.
Yes,
For us to go ahead and do that, but where we stand right now, we have an approved emergency management plan by the state, which is a good thing for us to go ahead and have that. Also want to give a heads up on the TxDOT update. They should be striping probably no later than tomorrow. You notice that some of the frontage roads are already put the 2-inch or 3-inch. They brought it up, so they'll be doing all the striping. And they're gonna be opening up the roads 2-way, even in front of the Bill Miller's side, as they get ready to close down the lanes underneath I-35 on 3175. It is gonna be a major headache, it's gonna happen. But the only way that we can get that road done before school starts, we gotta go ahead and shut it down. Matt and I were in a meeting, we talked, we tried to figure out different things, and that's the best way that we can actually do it. So it's gonna hurt for a few weeks, but that's gonna make sure that we have the roads available for our parents, school, and our normal commuters in that area. So it's gonna mean you're gonna have to go around on the frontage roads and then get back on 3175.
cross your fingers, there's no delays, no.
Hopefully no
There's
delays.
No wiggle room in it.
Yeah, so they're replacing the rail, it's regular, rail, and they're gonna put concrete, and they're doing a few other little things around that area. But they're gonna shut down, so it's gonna require that. That reminds me, Matt, we need to check with TxDOT, make sure the signals people are coordinating this intersection and the others, because we're gonna get the backlog. So give them a call tomorrow to make sure that we have that. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, so let's go ahead and do this. You can help me out?
They're finally gonna burn down the city hall.
Yeah, we can take care of this. We got one of our birthdays. We got Michael, let's see, birthday we have on, Michael says on the 14th. We got Cassandra, yes. And we got Cassandra on the 21st. And there's one other person that we're gonna take care of. And he's sitting right here because we did not know his birthday. His was on Santi. Santi, you share the same birthday. It's on the 19th. So we missed out on singing happy birthday to Richard. He loves zebra cakes.
I was
Can you
gonna
get
get
that
up
on the
that day.
table? Where's Richie? Can you give that to Richie?
I'm sorry.
Hey, Richie's waiting.
Oh, now he's up. He's
Oh.
up now. You don't need any more sugar.
Let me get this.
Oh,
Alright,
bad toss.
alright.
Yeah,
I'm
So,
not as I used to be.
with that in mind, here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha. Happy birthday, dear Michael, Richard, Cassandra. Happy birthday to you. Take a wish. All right, there we go.
All right,
There
calm
we go.
down.
Aye. Okay, with that in mind, let's see, it is, look, it's 8:19. With that in mind, oh, before I let you go, we do have goodies in that the staff brought in for food. Richie's already going. So make sure you get something to eat that is available.
Make sure it's
All right.
like that.
8:19, can I get a motion for us to
I'll
adjourn?
make that motion, let's adjourn.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much, 8:18. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, man.